Alright, time to feed the viewers. Hello viewers, morning viewers. Another beautiful day. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. Man. Alright, what do I got here? Let's get this Vulkan news out the way real quick. Oh yeah, I do got the AMD news to upload too after this, you know. Yeah, so yeah, I got that all straightened out. Yeah. AMD. Oh yeah. Let's see here. What do we got? On the Vulkan news here, it says Intel Vulkan Linux driver begins preparing for ray tracing changes in XE3. Says here hitting Mesa 25.2 devs was a 3-month old merge request to enable a 64-bit memory structure mode for ray tracing. This 64-bit memory structure mode for ray tracing is just being enabled with the upcoming XE3 graphics hardware and not for existing Intel graphics processor. As a part of the merge, is also adapting other changes in the making for the XE3. Notably, is that it's not compiling and adapting BHV shaders separately between XE1 and XE2 and XE3 Plus hardware. The BVH shaders for XE1 and XE2 graphics are treated the same, while the XE3 is now separated due to a 64-bit memory structure. Presumably, this is part of a larger shift with Intel engineers working on further advancing the ray tracing capabilities. Hardware to be found in integrated form with Panther Lake, and then discrete from the ARC Graphics C-Series. Celestial makes sense, for after all, that they would be focused more with their 2025 plus products on ensuring a better ray tracing for gamers. Yeah, and then that's the first bit of Vulkan news here. And then it shows an enable 64-bit memory structure mode for RT. And it says this merge has also been detailed for those interested in the newest code to land. Right. That's the first bit of Vulkan news here. Well, here's another one. We'll go through all of them. Let's see. Here's another one. Molten VK 1.3 RC released to advertise Vulkan 1.3 support for Apple devices. It says here Molten VK 1.3 RC was released today as the first test release of this updated Apple iOS, macOS, tvOS, version OS layer that implements the Vulkan API atop the Apple Metal driver with Molten VK 1.3. There is Vulkan API 1.3 support finally, and now 2. And then it says tracking for the past 2 years has been this issue ticket for the Vulkan 1.3 requirement needing to be supported by Molten VK. Finally, the last of the work was closed out this week, and Molten VK 1.3 being prepared to release with Molten VK 1.3 RC1 out today, as it has taken a lot of to get Vulkan 1.3 API implemented over 8 Apple Metal APIs. This merge last week got it over the finish line with advertising Vulkan 1.3 remaining features like advertising the Vulkan memory model extension and other capabilities. Those writing to enjoy the Vulkan 1.3 feature atop Apple devices, primarily OS laptop / desktop and iOS mobile devices, can find the Molten VK 1.3 RC release via GitHub. So I'll leave the link. Yeah, and then it says Vulkan 1.3, as a reminder, debuted in early 2022, and Vulkan 1.4 came out in late 2024. There is already this issue ticket. All right, here's the other one. Yeah, I'm just going through all the Vulkan news here. Yeah, here's the other one. Intel open source Vulkan driver lands BF float, or no B float 16. I said BF float, B float 16 support in Mesa 25.2, and it says here introduced last month in the Vulkan 1.4.311 spec was VK underscore KHR underscore shaders underscore BF B float 16. I keep saying BF for supporting BF16 type within Spur V shaders. Merged today for Mesa 25.2 is that B float 16 support for Intel open source Vulkan Linux driver. The necessary changes to Mesa Spur V code, the NIR immediate representation, and the Intel A and V driver code is now merged for following B float 16 data type use. This will potentially be useful for Vulkan accelerated AI/machine learning software moving forward, among other Vulkan compute use. And then it says Spur V, then comma NIR Intel quotes add support for VK underscore KHR underscore shaders underscore B float 16, not BF float. It says here more detail on this VK KHR shader B float 16 support for the Intel Vulkan driver via the Mesa merge. Anyway, so I will leave those links in the description box. All right. What else we got here? Says here's another one. Intel Vulkan Linux driver add memory pool support for some massive performance gains. And yeah, I'm just going through the Vulkan news here. It says here merged a few minutes ago is to Mesa 25.2 developed graphics driver code for the open source Intel AMD Vulkan Linux driver is a proper memory pool support. In turn, this can deliver some magnificent performance improvements on the likes of Lunar Lake and other newer Intel graphics processor. After undergoing the reviews and testing the past 2 months, the memory pool support was merged today for Mesa 25.2. Intel driver engineer Joe Roberto and D. Souza explained in the merge request, adding the A and V memory pool, a new approach to implement memory pool in A and V following the same approach as Iris, using the P underscore slab. Allocating larger buffer allowed KMD/HW to enable optimization that makes access to memory faster. Also, because of minimum HW alignment requiring some case, we allocate 4K to 64K along buffers for usage that only needs a few bytes, wasting a lot of memory. Memory pool takes care of both of those things. The Intel Lunar Lake XC2 graphics benefits a lot, but also the likes of Meteor Lake are shown to provide measurable performance benefits too. However, Intel engineers didn't find this memory pool support benefiting Battlemake discrete graphics. Here are some Intel driver performance bench with these 19 patches. Yeah, and then it says shows a nice little list here. It says 20 in the diagram. It shows 2025-04-15 LNL-M MR 3355.8 average FPS. LNL-M OB Linux version .16 13503, and then GAE 1C976937D5 DRM tip Ubuntu 2410. But anyway, says there outright massive as much as the 221.9% the performance of the Shadow of Tomb Raider using Vulkan version on Linux, or 120% to 163 with a variety of other games and Vulkan demos, Steam Play, games like F122 and Strange Brigade and Black Myth. Vulkan also seeing double digit percentage improvement on Lunar Lake graphics under Linux. This merge looks very exciting and will be working on some fresh Intel Lunar Lake Linux graphics gaming bench shortly. Too bad though it won't be out in a stable form until Mesa 25.2 next quarter, as opposed to making the cutoff for the soon to be stable Mesa 25.1 version. Yeah. Alright, here's another piece of Vulkan news here. Yeah, I got about 4 more pieces of news to go through, but I'm going through all of them. Yeah. Take care, you Vulkan lovers. Gotta do it. Anyway. Nothing like some hot tea. Alright, what do we got? This gaming on Linux. Okay, that's you. I think there's one more Vulkan news here. Yeah, here we go. So those two were gaming on Linux. Okay, let me get him out of the way. All right. Now here's another one. Vulkan API 1.4.314 brings one new extension in working towards Vulkan roadmap 2026. Yeah, says here Vulkan 1.4.314 is now available as the newest runtime spec update for this high performance GPU graphics compute API. With Vulkan 1.4.314, there are more early preparation towards Vulkan roadmap 2026 in aiming for a baseline of high-end smartphones, computers, and more next year. Besides a handful of clarification on other minor fixes to the Vulkan documentation, Vulkan 1.4.314 introduced VK_KHR robustness 2. That's VK_KHR_robustness 2. Says here as a promotion of the existing VK_extension_robustness 2 extension, the Git commit for Vulkan 1.4.314 lays it out clearly that VK_KHR_robustness is for roadmap 2026. It says the Vulkan roadmap milestones are described as intended to be supported by mid to high-end smartphone, tablets, laptops, consoles, and desktop devices. Each milestone indicates support for a set of extension features, limits, and formats across these devices, and should be supported by all such new hardware shipping by the end of the target year or shortly after. There is also a prior slide for Vulkan roadmap for targeting Vulkan roadmap approach. Yeah, and then it says Vulkan roadmap mid-high-end GPU, and then it says reducing API fragment. The roadmap specification defines an expanding set of Vulkan extension and capabilities for developers can target as widely support on mid-high-end GPUs. And it says roadmap 2022, roadmap 2024, roadmap 2020X. And it says here core specification mainstream CPU features brought into Vulkan core specs when wide mainstream adoption. Then it says Vulkan Core 1.0, Vulkan Core 1.1, Vulkan Core 1.2, Vulkan Core 1.3, and then Vulkan Core 1.n. And it says maintenance updates. And then it says now it looks like Vulkan roadmap will be succeeding Vulkan roadmap 2024. From the roadmap perspective, VK_KHR_robustness isn't particularly exciting, but just adds some stricter requirement for out-of-bound reads/write and other requirements. NVIDIA engineer works on this spec release. More detail on Vulkan 1.4.314 for those interested can be found via GitHub. Yeah, I got you Vulkan fans. I got you Vulkan fans covered, and you know and you know the tribunal is going to issue a DMCA takedown. Just saying, because you guys spell Vulkan wrong, you know. Anyway, what I got here, here's another one. Mesa 25.1 release with many open source Vulkan driver improvements. What do we got here? It says here, oh, this is gaming on Linux. All right, I got him. All right, here's another one. Close this. It says here, update. It says here, Mesa 25.1 is out today as the new quarterly features release for this set of open source user space graphics driver are primarily consistent of OpenGL and Vulkan driver support on Linux. The Vulkan driver within Mesa continues to be the biggest focus in recent year. Mesa 25.1 brings a number of new Vulkan extension to the Intel ANV and Radeon RADV driver, as well as a smaller driver too, like PanVK for ARM Mali and VK-D3D Raspberry Pi, and VK for NVIDIA GPU, plus etc. It says plus Mesa 25.1 has improvements to Rusty CL OpenCL driver, continues work on the Zinc on Open. See if I can increase the fonts here. Continues to work on the Zinc OpenGL on the Vulkan OpenGL on the Vulkan driver improvement for Radeon RX 9000 series, RDNA 4 and GFX 12. Support newer ARM Mali 4th gen hardware support in PanFrost in PanVK, the Intel Linux driver. The graphics driver will be less restrictive over RAM use, deprecating Gallium 9, various Intel XE/Battlemate graphics improvement. Clover is deprecated in favor of Rusty CL. Vulkan ray tracing support for Venus driver, Chromium, VA-API support, GMLIB for the Radeon SI driver, and working on HDR video support. Wayland color management for the Vulkan WSI low latency, encoding for RADV Vulkan, video handling, and a variety of other new features and performance optimization. And it says here, today's release for Mesa 25.1 sum up the highlights. Yeah, Vulkan, folks. It says here, what do they have here? Nice little list. What do they got here? Let's see here. CL_KHR link cons on ODR in Rusty CL storage push constant storage input output 16 and PanVK, and then a lot of KHR_ depth stencil resolve on PanVK, separate depth stencil layout on PanVK, separate stencil usage on PanVK, that's extension. Then sampler YCBR conversion on PanVK/version 10. YCBCR_2plane_444 format on PanVK version 10. Yeah, they put some work into this, that's for sure. Yeah, Vulkan has come a long way. Says here YCBCR 2plane 444 format on PanVK version 10 plus. YCBCR image arrays on PanVK version 10 plus. Imageless frame buffer on PanVK. Uniform buffer standard layouts on PanVK. Border colors swizzle on PanVK. On Mesa's image alignment control on NVK. Shader flow 16 on PanVK. It says shader subgroup uniform control flow on PanVK/version 10 plus. Shader maximal recoverance on PanVK version 10 plus. device memory report on RAD-V, and shaders extension on PAN-VK version 10 plus, and storage alignment extension format on PAN-VK, display PAN-VK display control PAN-VK, shader extension shader frame buffer image fetch on V3D, extension shader frame buffer image fetch coherent on V3D. I'm almost done here. And then it says blender equation for advanced on V3D, blender equation advanced coherent on V3D, partial update on let's see, ETNAV IV line rasterization on PAN-VK. That's KHR line rasterization on PAN-VK, extension line rasterization on PAN-VK, and then shader image gather extended on PAN-VK, texture compression BC on PAN-VK. Yeah, we got 3 more lines to get through here. What did I just do? What did I just do? What did I just do? I just had it too. What did I just do? I had it too. Let's see here. What's this? Oh, here we go. I hit the next page. Where was I at? I had like couple more lines to get through. Where was I at? Let me start here. KHR shader float controls on PAN-VK 10 plus, shade flow controls on PAN-VK, RB shader clock on PAN-VK, VK sample location on RAD-V, GFX. Yeah, they put a lot of work into this. So yeah, you Vulkan users, man. Yeah, they put these developers, they work. So that should do it though. Yeah, but put all the Vulkan news in the description box with all the links, so that should help you for now. But yeah, a lot of news to cover, man. When it comes to this this tech stuff, yeah. But Vulkan is always getting updates, so this is about 6 articles. So I'll just put all the links in the description box. Yeah, with the article, so that should hold you for now until the next go around. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video too. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars and Star Trek fan. Board Dark Side. Go home. Peace.